Hey guys! So I hope you can all hear me. I'm just gonna wait till the signal gets up and I get a little feedback that I'm gonna get a thumbs up that you can hear me because these earbuds are sometimes like not great. Can you hear me okay? Hello, Bueller. Pat, can you hear me? Hi, Catherine. Hey, Kat. How's motherhood? Y'all can hear me okay? Hello? Yes, okay. I got the thumbs up from Pat. Okay, so before we get into all the cancer talk, um, I just, felt like if you're gonna ask me how I'm doing, I'm actually gonna tell you. So, some of my people were like, "Oh, you should, talk about this," and I'm like, I mean, the big thing that happened to me this week was I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So I'm like, that's sort of like the top of the priority of like what I need to share because, this is life and, you know, I'm bringing y'all along on our journey. I always think like what is the journey? What is the journey I want to share with everybody? And that's, training good horses in a good way to, bring out the best in them and hopefully one day have a good enough horse where I can train it good enough and we can represent our country. It's an exciting week with the Olympics. And then real life comes and just like hits you upside the head and says, what is life really about? I mean, life is about love and it's about being true and authentic to yourself. And so, me talking about my cancer diagnosis was something that just felt right. So, I'm glad you're all here. So, um, I do have to talk about the horse show first because that was amazing. And I do have to take a shout out to Carolyn Kadir. And, I've got my new special walking boot on so that, on Saturday, the biggest worry of my life was if I broke my foot or not, or if Romeo was going to make Chicago or not. And then, Monday rolls around and the biopsy comes in and it's like, hey, you have cancer. It's like, what? It's just a little bit crazy. But, just like everything else, I got my foot stomped. We had an amazing show. Ashley rode the best I have ever seen her ride. She made me so proud and happy. Romeo won a huge Pre St. George class with a 71 on Friday. Like they always have these really amazing, big like challenge classes. So that went from like, I don't know, 8 in the morning to like 2:30 in the afternoon. It was huge. And he went about 9:40, so he kept the lead all day and it was really exciting and he was wonderful. Darby also had a great Grand Prix freestyle. Carusala, Ashley's young horse, she's not that young, but she's just like very green in her life experience, thus the foot stomp. And she did great at training level and first level. She really turned into a real show horse this weekend, which was fun. Just like go in, do your job, get around, do what I tell you. It was really exciting. And of course, she ended the weekend with like a 76 or something crazy in first level test three. So that was so happy for Ashley. And even though Carusala stomped my foot, I was really in the wrong place at the wrong time. So she got overwhelmed and scared during the bit check. She was getting her ear bonnet taken off, and people were milling around. And she just spun around and stepped on my right foot with her left hind leg and like sent me and the bucket of sugar and brushes flying. So my arse looks a lot like my foot. But don't worry, I will not be sharing any of those pictures on Facebook. But it's also very pretty colors as well. But then it was like the reality for me set in that I was getting a biopsy on Monday because, of course, the only thing you can take beforehand is Tylenol. So I couldn't be on any Advil or any like real serious painkiller. So there was a moment in the tack room where I had some tears of like, this biopsy thing is actually real because I can count on my one hand how many times in the last 30 years I have been injured on a horse and off the horse. I mean, I just don't get in accidents because I'm aware and alert and paying attention, and I put my guard down, and she's a little bit feral when she gets scared, and so, again, I was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and thank God she didn't also kick me when she knocked me over and the bucket went flying, like, it was a lot of chaos, and sometimes horses kick, so thank God she didn't do that. And of course, I shoved my boot on and rode 3 horses. And then I showed the next day also, but thank God Richard was there to help drive me home. Thank you, honey. Because driving the horse trailer for 6 hours would have hurt a lot on the right foot. Um, but yeah, so then like the whole magnitude of like, no, like the biopsy is real and that is serious, and you can't take any blood thinners for now your stomped, maybe broken foot. And so there was a moment then that all became real. But again, like any crazy horse girl, we all just power through and forage on and shove the maybe broken foot into the boot and march around the showgrounds all day and ride and whatever. So, I really think about, with this cancer diagnosis, it's like, well, shove the boot on and get riding, because it's like, what are the choices, to sit around and feel sorry. People are asking me like, "Oh, do you want to cancel your lessons?" And I'm like, "No, girl, get over here. I want to teach you about the shoulder in. Please, can we just please talk about shoulder in?" Because that I can control, that I know. I love horses. I just want to talk about a shoulder in. Can someone please come over and can we just talk about a half pass? Because that's just natural for me and I'm in my element with that. And so yes, let's talk about horses, so then it was like, oh, should you go live and talk about the Olympics? And we've got this wonderful sales going on right now with our fundamentals in the academy, and I'm doing a lecture tonight, like a roundtable discussion about the 12 or 13 videos that are in the fundamentals. We thought it would be really great for everyone to come with questions. There's a lot of content and depth in these videos. So I just want to make sure everyone's like clear on everything and get a chance to talk to me. Um, and so it was like, oh, what should you talk about in your live? And I'm like, cancer, you know, uh, what else happened this week? But it was like, that's just another thing that's happening. Like we had such an amazing show. I hope in the next 1 or 2 days, I will have another really wonderful and special, amazing announcement, which just makes my heart soar. But I can't tell you yet, so you'll have to tune in because we have another special surprise that we've been working on. And it just makes me so happy. So, there's like sad things in life and happy things in life, and it's really important for me to stay positive. And I do appreciate many of you who texted me and messaged me, even though I said not to. All of your support and love means so much. Um, yeah, and like, let's just talk about cancer for a minute. It is amazing the amount of women mostly, but men too, who get diagnosed with um, breast cancer every year. It is amazingly, like, I can't even tell you how many people have already reached out that they're survivors and their mother survived and their sister survived, and I mean, it's amazing. It's like one of those things like when you, experience a miscarriage, all of a sudden everybody comes out with their own experience that you never knew, So, cancer, I feel like in my experience, in my 24 hours of experience, um, it's a lot more common than you think, and, of course, always needs research and, funding for that, of course. But I've been really careful. I mean, that's like I'm really fit. I'm 43. I ride a lot of horses all day. I teach a lot of clinics. I travel. I work out. I do yoga. I eat well. I mean, I do drink a little wine. And I do love Advil when I need it. Um, but yeah, like talk about like living a healthy lifestyle. Like, what? What? Like, that's crazy. I get a yearly mammogram because my mom had breast cancer, although she does not carry the gene, so that's good news. Um, but it's amazing because I'm like, I am careful. I am like checking and I go for yearly mammograms and I post about it and I say, check your tatas, and then here I am all of a sudden like, hmm, 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 that feels a little different. Like what is that? But I also have like very like dense fibrous tissue. So then I was like, oh, it's probably just nothing. We just need to double check. We're gonna go for an ultrasound. And like, oh, okay, well, we're gonna check a little more. We're gonna go for a biopsy. And then like I could tell by the lady's tone of her voice, I'm like, girl, you got bad news for me, don't you? And she, I think, was caught off guard because I was like, I can tell by the tone of your voice, you're gonna tell me I have freaking cancer. So yeah, so everyone was asking about my foot, and I'm like, yeah, I wish my biggest problem right now was my not broken foot and my black and blue butt. But turns out there are bigger fish to fry. And I always joke that like I'm good in an emergency because I was actually supposed to teach poor Eileen a lesson, and she called, and I knew it was um, the doctor's office, and I'm like, uh-oh, it's like 9 o'clock in the morning, so they have processed my biopsy first, and they are calling me right away. I'm like, ugh, it's not good. And again, I could tell by the tone of her voice that that was going to happen. And yeah, so then it begins. And, it's just like I'm in that, obviously shocked. I don't feel like I'm in denial. I just feel like, okay, so this is happening. So let's do the next right thing, right? Like we've always talked about that. What's the next step? We need to gather more information because I can't go jumping to conclusions and I can't go crazy worrying about what might happen, might not happen. Do I need a double mastectomy? Like while I'm doing surgeries, I might as well get a hysterectomy and just like like totally freak out. It's like freaking out does not help anyone. So just calm down. So, yeah, it's just like, again, like Dr. Jenny always says, when you feel overwhelmed, what do you do? How do you eat an elephant? You bite one, even just a tiny little bite, just a tiny little bite, one bite at a time. So, my next steps are I get an MRI next week, Tuesday. Then I meet with my new handy dandy cancer team on the 2nd. I have already gotten wonderful recommendations of which doctor I should get. I'm not exactly sure how I organize that, but I will find a way. And yeah, and really at the end of the day, for me, it's going to be about staying really positive. And that doesn't mean I'm going to go in with, roses and butterflies. Like I certainly understand this is going to be extremely hard and extremely challenging. And I'm looking for the lesson that this will be teaching me. I mean, I already did a really good job of adulting today, which I would rather be riding horses all the time, all day long, all the time. Horse, horse, horse. So I organized my insurance and I got that all organized. Like Richard, my sweet husband, got me a wonderful little notebook. Empowered Women Empower Women. And it's pink for breast cancer. So that's cool. I'm gonna write down. I'm taking my notes. I'm going to be an adult, a mature adult about this. And yeah, I mean, just take one step at a time, right? I mean, that's all we can do. I always remember Stefan telling me when I was like, how do you do it? Like you just go to the Olympics every time and you're just like, you just boom, lay it down. How do you do that? And he's like, well, you really need to stay in the moment. You cannot worry about the past. So like in a dressage test, like you can't worry about the last movement because worrying about the past will kind of mess up what you're doing at the moment. And you can't get anxious about the future because you don't know what that looks like yet. Like, I don't know what this looks like yet. So it's wasted energy for me to jump to these conclusions like, well, this one thing means it's going to look like this, or her experience was like that. So that's for sure going to be my experience. And I certainly don't feel that way about, well, that kind of cancer wasn't serious for her. So maybe that will be my path. Like, I don't know my path yet. And I need to become comfortable with the uncomfortable, another thing from Stefan. And so I'm uncomfortable because I don't know. But I have to be comfortable with not knowing because there's no way to know till I know. And, again, I just think about like the book The Secret, like attracts like. And so getting anxious or pissed off or like mad, like I love my body and I don't know why cancer's in there, but we're gonna fight together to get it out of there. But I don't think like anxiety and worry and anger are positive energies to be helpful in this situation. So I'm really going to concentrate on love and light and yeah, staying strong and resilient. Um, like all of you out there, us horse girls and guys, I suppose. We know how to dig deep. We know how when the going gets tough, we dig in, and so we all have that skill. And I'm definitely going to use a lot of those lessons that horses have taught me to fight this fight as well. And yeah, I remember when I got diagnosed with my ruptured disc in my L5, and the surgeon's like looking at it and he's like, "Oh, it's really bad. Like you've got degenerating disc disease and you got the spine of a 90-year-old lady and I don't think you should ride horses." And I was just like, what? Excuse me? Uh, I don't think that should define me. And 20 years later, I ride 10 to 14 horses a day, a lot of days a week, and I'm in no pain. And so I didn't let that like define me that was, oh, I have this problem. Oh, so the doctor told me this one thing this one time and it's defined my life. And it's like I define my life. So I didn't like I understand that as information and I like heard that. Um, but I don't let that become my identity. I work on being strong in my core and flexible, and I have a little extra vertebrae in my back, so my hamstrings get super tight. So that also was part of why my back was sore. I was also riding like 18 horses a day, so that was definitely too many. So I don't recommend that. But I thought that was powerful, and I was, in my early 20s, and I was like, well, if I can't ride, just take me behind the barn and put me down because that's what I want to do. And that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to do that. And, like I heard the information, but I didn't let it define me and restrict me in any way. I found a way to work around it. And I plan to do the same thing with cancer. And I just totally appreciate all of you reaching out, even though I said not to. It's really helpful to hear everyone's positive stories, and I'm sure through this journey, I'm gonna meet some incredible people. And I think it's also important to like trust the process of life. Like my dear friend Lisa Hickey always we always talk about this, and this is from, AA of like, just do the next right thing. Like, just take the next step. Like, what is the next right thing? So, the next right thing for this is just gaining more information. Um, and more shall be revealed. She always tells me that. And I have, even a couple years ago, I was like, Lisa, I want to know what, what should I do? Or la la la, and she's just like, Jay, more will be revealed. And I was like, oh, you talk like a Buddhist monk. I need to like get more grounded and more spiritual and like own that. And I really have. Like I can't believe like in this moment I'm like, yeah, I mean, I don't have all the information yet. More shall be revealed. And at the end of the day, why this is happening will also be clear one day. Maybe I am supposed to meet someone who will change my life. Cancer for sure will change my life as it's changed many people's lives. Um, whether you've lost someone to it, whether you have survived it, like it's a life-changing experience. To and I wrote on my post, like, it's a club you do not ever want to be part of, but there are really extraordinary people that I will meet through this journey, and for that, I'm grateful. And I don't know why this happened to me yet, but more shall be revealed. So, thank you guys all for your love and support. Um, there's going to be a lot of times I'm going to be scared, nervous. I've already kind of been pissed off about this. But at the end of the day, again, like anger, energy that's not really helpful right now in this situation. So I'm surrounding it with love and I'm going to let it go into the universe. And I hope y'all surround it with positivity and light and love. And we'll get through it just like we get through everything. At the end of the day, we just should kick on and go forward because that's the only direction we should go. So I hope you guys listen to the podcast this Friday. It's going to be really fun. Nama came to visit from Israel and she came for the clinic with Charles and I met her in Budapest and she's an awesome, awesome woman. And we talked about our shared experience with Eula. It was wonderful to go back and think about all the things we learned and share that. She also talked about what dressage is like in Israel, and we were planning to do maybe a clinic. I was going to go there, and actually, my whole family was also going to do invite themselves along, and we're going to go also be like tourist and teach dressage in Israel. So that was exciting. So, you know, trip to Israel pending cancer. I hope will happen at some point, hopefully this year. Um, but again, I think you guys will really enjoy that podcast coming out on Friday. And yeah, in the meantime, for all of you else out there struggling with anything, I mean, Brene Brown did a wonderful podcast. It was something I first listened to, I think, last year about um, comparative suffering, that it's like we all have our own journeys and we all have our own path and we all have our own struggles and challenges to overcome. And we all just need to stick together to be strong and, overcome together. So, thank you guys all for being in my circle. And cheers to living life to the fullest because you just never know what's around the corner. And here's to good doctors as well. And yeah, positive thoughts and love. So, thank you guys so much for joining. And thank you for keeping me in your thoughts. I will keep you guys abreast of anything new that comes up. I've got to go get ready for my lecture because the show must go on. So here we go. I'll see you soon. Thank you guys. Bye.